Do you want to just start off by introducing yourself? So, your name, your title, and then how long you've been with Tilth for.
Okay, yeah. So I'm Chris Schreiner. I'm the executive director at Oregon Tilth. I've been working at Oregon Tilth for over 23 years now.
So, what is the NORA and why is it important?
I'm so glad you asked. So the NORA, it stands for the National Organic Research Agenda, and this is a report that's published by our friends over at the Organic Farming Research Foundation. And it's a really important report because it reflects the voices and experiences of organic and transitioning farmers across North America. And it basically summarizes input from nearly 1,200 certified organic and transitioning farmers provided through a survey and multiple focus group discussions. And it's also really important because as it synthesizes their input and makes recommendations, the findings of that report really provide a roadmap for future research, education, extension, and policy development that's going to help advance the organic sector.
So, you're listed as a contributor. What was your contribution and Oregon Tilth's contribution to the report this year?
Yeah, so Oregon Tilth has been a project partner in a few different stages of this work. We helped with survey outreach efforts, encouraging our certified farmers to take the survey and share their input. And then I personally served as a reviewer and contributor to the final 200-page report and really tried to draw on Oregon Tilth's knowledge and past work we've done regarding farmer perspectives on transition, as well as more generally just our certified organic farm clients. We certify over 1,100 organic farms across North America with really diverse cropping systems and scales of production. And now we're helping with promotion and outreach about the report, trying to use it to help inform and hopefully influence decision makers who can advance a lot of the different recommendations that the report offers. So we're putting it in front of government agency staff, university administrators and faculty, and legislators at both the state and federal levels.
What was one of your biggest takeaways from the report?
Yeah, the report findings confirm that organic farmers lead the nation in the adoption of soil health management and climate friendly practices. Most of the survey respondents regularly use practices that build healthy soil, protect natural resources, enhance biodiversity and resilience, sequester carbon, and help mitigate climate change. 78% of the farmers who took the survey said that enhanced resilience to climate change through organic practices was a top motivation for transitioning to organic certification. And I think this is important and a big takeaway because there's this increased interest and discussion about the impact of climate change on agriculture and how to build resilience and some of the solutions that best practices can offer by reducing greenhouse gas emissions and sequestering carbon. And we in the organic community, we need to be doing a better job of doing more to highlight how organic management systems are inherently climate friendly and involve regenerative practices. And then we need to advocate for policies and programs that reward the best farmers and incentivize the rest as they adopt organic practices that address the climate challenges facing all of agriculture.
What was your most surprising takeaway from the report? Something you didn't see coming?
Yeah, I would say in a sentence that the more things change, the more they stay the same. And let me unpack that a bit. Since the last NORA report that was published 6 years ago, a lot's happened. We've seen a lot of changes, and on the bright side, there's been some progress in terms of increased organic research and education and extension resources and investments. And then, of course, we've also experienced a whole host of new challenges in the last 6 years. Impacts of more frequent and more extreme weather events, and of course the pandemic's negative effects, on supply chains and market disruptions and access to skilled labor. And However, when you look at the top challenges and the associated needs for technical assistance identified by organic farmers in this year's report, they're the same ones we've been hearing for over 2 decades. Organic management of weeds and insect pests and diseases, soil fertility and crop nutrient management, soil conservation and health, and the way we address these needs is by building our collective knowledge base and finding effective methods for sharing and applying best practices in the field. And the fact that these needs are still at the top, 2 decades going, this really shows that while we've been making incremental progress, advancing organic agriculture is very knowledge and resource intensive, and it requires a substantial investment to really move the needle in a meaningful way.
What was your most hopeful takeaway from the report?
Yeah, and this one, I will say that the inclusion and the elevation of equity issues in the report uh, was my most hopeful takeaway. The report includes this really important acknowledgement of the history and experience and struggles of farmers and ranchers who identify as Black, Indigenous, and other people of color, BIPOC. And while the report looks at the current challenges facing all organic farmers, it's really important to also position the experience of organic BIPOC growers and ranchers within this broader historical context that has too often been either inaccurately documented or just erased. And so, using survey demographics, the report really looked at any unique challenges facing that community of farmers that's been historically marginalized and excluded. And I think building awareness and acknowledging that today's ag system is this continued product of stolen land and enslaved labor, it's a critical first step. So my hope is this kind of transparency and accountability in the report is going to serve as an important example to the entire organic sector as we work to dismantle systemic racism. It really recognizes the intersection and the interdependence of social justice and environmental justice.
So where do you see Oregon Till filling in some of these gaps?
Yeah, I I like to say that good conversations need good listeners, and this really elevates the importance of understanding the challenges that organic farmers are facing to inform how we can bridge gaps between problems and solutions. And so, one example, because the top three technical assistance needs relate to soil health and resource conservation. The USDA's Natural Resources Conservation Service programs, they can play a vital role in providing technical and financial support for organic farmers. And Oregon Tilth has this 10 plus year partnership with the USDA's Natural Resources Conservation Service that has provided approximately 150 conservation trainings to 3,600 NRCS staff members across the country. And we help farmers and farm service providers build conservation knowledge and skills and networks for support through that partnership. So that's one example. While we're best known as a leading organic certifier, we're also a leading organic educator and advocate. And education is really the heart of Oregon Tilth's nonprofit work. And we know that we can't solve big problems alone, and we can accomplish a lot more together by leveraging our unique strengths and expertise with good partnerships. And so our strategic approach to sharing technical and industry knowledge has focused on three main areas. One is transition support. Transitioning to organic is not easy. Farmers have to learn both new management practices, but more importantly, a new holistic approach. It's not as simple as input substitution. And I remember having a conversation with a soybean farmer who had transitioned from conventional soybeans to non-GMO soybeans. And I asked him, like, well, what would it take to take the next step and transition from non-GMO to organic? And he told me that transitioning to organic was like asking a foot doctor to become a heart surgeon. And to me, that really reflects that knowledge intensive the basis of organic management. And so we need to develop resources, technical assistance, farmer to farmer knowledge sharing and mentoring, financial assistance and cost share during that critical period of transition to increase success. Another key area of our work in education has been around conservation. Research shows that organic farming practices regenerate soil, protect water, and support biodiversity. And our education efforts really demonstrate the resiliency in utilizing cover crops and crop rotations, buffers, pollinator plantings, and manure management. And so that partnership with the USDA Natural Resources Conservation Service is just another great way that we're making a difference. And then the third area is around farm viability. We want to help keep farmers thriving. And we have to recognize that farms are businesses too. And so, we're developing programs and tools that help farmers calculate their crop specific costs and use that cost information to inform business decision making. And so all three of these areas, they're reflected in the NORA report's findings and recommendations, and it really just confirms that Oregon Tilth is on the right track and focusing our attention on key areas of need and opportunity to advance the organic sector.
I guess last little bit is, do you have a plug for why folks should care about the NORA going forward?
Yeah, I think it just goes back again to, this reflects what the on the ground experience of organic farmers is, and, where they see challenges, what, the needs related to those challenges are, and, figuring out through the recommendations in the report how we translate, those needs and those challenges into solutions and opportunities. And I think organic has so much opportunity and benefit to offer all of agriculture. And it's just high time that we, make the case for increased investment, increased resources, and, these networks of support that organic agriculture needs to just increase its footprint and impact on our ag and food systems.